Hello everyone and welcome to the Python Invest YouTube channel. Today we'll talk about a fascinating topic, OpenAI ChatGPT. You will learn how to call ChatGPT services programmatically through API functions in Python notebooks. So we will use it to summarize a massive set of financial news that is about 5,000 news per week. And hopefully you can use it for gaining market insights, big companies insights, new companies, valuable financial news, and make informed decisions for your investments. You can read a few results by following this link. So if you follow it, you can see that there are a bunch of articles published by using this algorithm. And you can assess the quality of the summarization, and please leave a comment and feedback here or to the website. You can also read a full article, which is called Leveraging OpenAI's API for Financial News Summarization, which has a little bit of a more business context and thought process on how I came up with this algorithm. And please be active, like, comment, subscribe, and share your thoughts on this material. Read other analytical articles on the main website and make a donation if you are willing to support Python Invest as a regular member, or if you are willing to contribute to a specific idea listed on our wish list by following this link. All links will be in the video description. So our plan for today, we will start from Colab environment, a specific way of storing secrets on Google Drive. Then we will talk about API hygiene. When you're using a remote service, you can see some problems like rate limits, access keys, and other errors which you need to handle correctly. Then we will turn our attention to looking at the Polygon.io news API. We will extract 5,000 latest news and look at the individual attributes of each piece of news. The most important ones are ticker information, one ticker or several tickers, title and description. We do not use body, and we do not have this feature, but hopefully title and description is enough to get a basic understanding on the content inside. And then we will talk about chunking. The idea is that 5,000 news is too big for one API call, and we need to create several chunks of the data to be able to feed them into the ChatGPT API calls. And then we will look into ChatGPT APIs. So first we will compare different models, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo 16K tokens versus ChatGPT 4 8K tokens. Then we will look at one API call and check the individual description of one stock. And after that, we will turn our attention into few shots prompting when we need to create several consecutive prompts to be able to summarize big data set of news. You can read more about this use case of summarization on platform.openai.com. And of course, you can read more articles that were published recently about generic use cases of OpenAI GPT usage. So let's begin. First, we install libraries, OpenAI and Colab-env. We do other imports, and here we show how you can store, save, and retrieve secret variables. So if you import this library Colab-env, you can register a new variable. We can name it test, and its value is hello world, and you can get this environment. So now it is registered in the os.getEnv function, and you can see that it returns hello world value. So I did this operation for OpenAI API key and Polygon API key. The first one is a paid service, the second one has a free tier, and you can do several calls to get data for free, and this is enough for this use case. And here I retrieve these API keys from my Google Drive and do not expose in this public notebook, but they are used when I'm calling API service and I'm doing the substitution of these specific keys. So, okay, let's start from the news. Polygon.io news. We need to construct some date and time features. This is because we want to form specific URL requests with parameters. You can see here an example of an HTTP API call where we call this news endpoint, and then we have several parameters like order, decreasing on the date, limit 1000. This is a maximum limit of news. We sort by published UTC, by time of publishing, and I substitute my key there. So here is a wrapper function where I get the news published and return it as a data frame. And also I do work with potential errors that can appear when you call this remote service. This is another wrapper function, get all news, when I want to do several API calls and I want to call them in such a way that news are not intersected between each other. You can see from the output that I get the latest 1000 news and identify the minimum date of the first news published in this 1000, and the next call I substitute this minimum date and I ask to retrieve another 1000 news, but their published date is actually less than that minimum date, 25th of August, and that's how we download 5000 news. We save it into one data frame, and you can see from here this is a ready-to-use data frame with 5000 financial news. You can try to do some descriptive analysis on this. For example, it's interesting to learn what is a news sources bias. You can see that Zacks Investment Research, Motley Fool, and Global News, they are about 80% of all news published. So then you can try to do the generic analysis on what is the most popular ticker used in news on that specific news week. It was Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, etc. And here is an example of two news. There is an ID, title, author, published, article URL, tickers, so we use this field tickers, AMP URL, image URL, description, keywords. So we use title and description to generate text on one news, and also we use published UTC time. So if you combine all of this, you can you can have something like this: title, description, and tickers that were used. So this is a raw information that we will feed into ChatGPT API and ask to summarize. Next, what you need to do, you need to understand whether it was one ticker or several tickers, and whether it was last day or previously published news. The idea behind this is that we want to do a separate summarization for market summary during the last day. This is a few hundreds of news, and each news piece has several tickers in it. Then market summary for the whole week, that's several thousand news, and market summary for individual tickers. That's all companies that receive more than 10 news on the last week. And when we have those data frames, we can also do chunking for the future API calls. For example, for this market summary, one day we need to have 3 chunks of the data. So all news between 0 and 96, and 96 and 122. Actually, it's 2 chunks. For GPT-4, we need to have twice more data chunks because it has less input tokens, and you can't feed it with a big message as we do it for GPT-3.5 Turbo. And for the market summary last week, it can be 15 or 20 chunks of the data. And we use GPT-4 only for a daily summary because, as you can see later, it takes some time to do the summarization, and that time is 5-8 times longer than GPT-3.5 Turbo, and it is 10 times more expensive. So you will need to spend some money on doing GPT-4 summarization, and probably this is not the best usage of a powerful GPT-4 model, and GPT-3.5 can be enough for our needs. So with this function, we generate prompts for one-day summary, for the one-day summary GPT-4 model, and for the whole week summary. Okay, now let's check what we have. This is a random choice company, CRM. It has 4 news. We summarized all four news published on this company in a string information like this. So there are 4 sections. Each section includes time when the news was published, then ticker, then title, and then description, and they are all separated. So when we have these generated, we can now turn to the final section, and this is OpenAI API. You can see the list of the available models. So here there are a few models between 3.5 Turbo and 4. Probably you won't see GPT-4 straight away because it opens only after you do the first successful payment for the GPT 3.5 Turbo usage. I checked 2 GPT 3.5 Turbo, 16K and 16K-0613. This is a fixed version of GPT 3.5 Turbo, trained, I believe, on 13th of June. But for our news summary, it provided actually exactly the same output. That's the content that produced Salesforce, and you can see OpenAI could understand what is important and what is not. It's removed all the separation symbols, time symbols, and it could produce a specific summary with correct numbers from titles and descriptions from those 4 news within just a few sentences. And next, the idea is exactly the same. We tried this for one stock, we made it working correctly, and then we did it for all individual news. But before that, I actually found a nice implementation of OpenAI API wrapper. So the idea is the same, that it handles some remote API service errors, but there are specific errors specified for that particular service, OpenAI. So it's nice to have this handler listed here, that it is more suitable for that particular API. And another cool feature is that it does several retries. If the service is not available, it can wait some time. Here it's 10 milliseconds and retry again. So here's what we have. We filtered out everything that has less than 10 news, with the exception of QQQ and SPY, that are important markets, ETF funds, and even if it has 1, 2, 3, 5 news, I still want to see those summaries. And you can see that still on that specific week, NVIDIA was the most popular stock with 52 news exactly about this one stock. So it's not market news where this ticker was among few other tickers. You can read about the details of the summarization on the news link that I showed before. Here, what else do I have? I've implemented the last day growth. Ideally, I should have last week, last month, last quarter, and last year, just to understand whether this specific set of news changed the whole market sentiment and trajectory of trading. But here you can see that we provide only 1 day change, and on that set of news, NVIDIA grew on 1.78% in 1 day. So probably those 52 news provided an insightful and important information for all investors, and they started to buy more NVIDIA stocks, and that resulted in a growth. Hopefully you can read this, you can run it, and you can buy and win further if this sentiment continues on the market. So, and here is what you can see on the summaries. It generated individual summaries for NVIDIA, Amazon, Apple, and it's a short text, and it is quite easy to read. And this is the most precise section, because we don't have any market news here. So this is a compilation of news that were written about one stock only. Next session is when we try to do something about market summarization. The problem here is that now the news are include several tickers, and you can't understand whether this is a wide market news or some vertical industry news or something else. But we summarize them all, and we ask ChatGPT to do the summarization within few iterations. So first, we feed in first 96 news here to the ChatGPT 3.5 model, and we ask to summarize it. Next thing, we take another more than 100 news and we use a summary from the previous step, and we say, okay, just use this new set of news and previous summary and improve the previous summary, and hopefully we can get the same good summary. And you can see here that we tested GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 models, and we measured the time spent for this execution. So GPT 3.5 time was 20 seconds and GPT 4 was 3 minutes 5 seconds. That is about 9 times longer than GPT 3.5 and more expensive. So as you can see here, it's a little bit unstructured summary with a few bullet points. Probably it's not as good as previous summaries, but for me, it's a good source of new information, which we normally do not see from big companies' news. And this was a one-day summary, and it is normally several hundred news. We can scale it even further and do 1 week, or actually it is about 7 to 10 days summary. And for that specific period of time, it was more than 2,500 news within 10-15 calls for GPT 3.5. The idea is exactly the same. We do the analysis of chunk 1, we save the results, we feed in those results into the next iteration, and we add more news to summarize. And you can see here, iteration 0, there is some summary. Iteration 1, there is another summary. Iteration 2, third version of summary. And at the last iteration, we will get the hopefully the full summary for the whole week. The problem with this approach is that it's quite long, and we can't really judge whether it's a good or bad summary, because I can't read all 2,000 news, and I can't understand whether ChatGPT found the most important news and reflected them into this summary. But still, it's a good source for inspiration. That's everything, folks, today. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.